Hello, this is Carolyn Bupert with the League of Women Voters of Portland. You're watching our video voters guide, or you might be listening to a podcast. And we're here today with a candidate who is running in the November 5th general election. We're grateful for the support of the Carol and Belma Sailing Foundation, the Weiss Foundation, the League of Women Voters Education Fund, and our media partner, Metro East Community Media. With me is Pham, who is a member of the House of Representatives in Oregon, representing District 46, and she is running for re-election. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Would you tell us a little about yourself and why you're running for re-election?
Yes. Well, as mentioned, I am the current state representative for House District 46 in Southeast Portland. I'm also a mom and a longtime community organizer, and I'm also the daughter of Vietnamese refugees. And all of those experiences motivated me to run 4 years ago to fight for bold climate action and also a just transition to a renewable, regenerative economy. And I was really motivated to make sure that my daughter has a livable future, and not just for her, but for her generation. So I was able to pass a number of really groundbreaking climate bills while I was in the House, including the 100% Clean Energy for All bill, energy affordability, the Trees Act, and community resilience hubs. But there's still so much left unfinished. And so that's why I'm running for the Oregon State Senate.
Thank you. And that leads to our next question. What changes, if any, would you support in the state to address climate change? And then explain, please.
So climate change is something that impacts every single sector of our society and every single part of our lives. And so I see it as this is a multi-year and multi-sectoral agenda. So last year I sit on the House Climate and Energy and really am focused on energy policy. This year in 2025, though, we have an opportunity with the 25 transportation package to make sure that we are aligning our state's transportation investments with our climate action goals. Currently, transportation makes up 40% of all greenhouse gas emissions in the state. And yet, so we need to make sure that if we really want to meet our climate goals, that we are spending 40% of our investments towards making more walkable, bikeable, and transit-friendly communities that are not just lowering greenhouse gas emissions, but also increasing safety, increasing public health, and making our communities more livable. So transportation, I sit on the Joint Committee on Transportation. That's one of my top priorities in 2025. But I also think we need to be thinking about housing. We need to, again, be building these dense, affordable communities and thinking about land use and building these dense, affordable, climate-friendly communities. And how do we make sure our land use policy is encouraging and incentivizing that kind of development? And with agriculture and forestry, likewise, there's a lot of opportunities to incentivize more climate-smart agriculture and forestry practices that making sure our investments aren't just around fighting wildfires, but also what can we do to invest in community home hardening and making our communities that are most impacted by wildfires more resilient to wildfires, because we know that and that's why I was so committed to the community resilience hubs, because we know that a certain amount of extreme weather and wildfires is already baked in. And I'm committed to making sure that our communities are given the resources they need to be organizing and have the infrastructure they need to be able to not just respond to a disaster, but also be able to prepare and recover after a disaster. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I could go through every single sector. I have energy policy ideas. I'm actually right now at a conference on clean energy legislation. I think we need to make sure we actually meet the milestones that were set for 100% clean energy for all by 2040. All of the utilities currently are not on track to meet that. So I'm looking at the Public Utilities Commission reform so that we can shift the incentives for utilities, which are right now based on more just growing their infrastructure. We need to make sure it's aligned with our values around climate action, public health, and lowering energy costs. And lastly, I would just say for climate change, I think it involves rethinking our economies and really building strong local economies. And so I'm really committed to seeing how we can use some of our state dollars rather than tax breaks from, the biggest multinational corporations like Intel and Amazon to really take that money and investing. We know that if we invest it in small businesses, the returns that gets circulated within our economy and the returns are fivefold, if not more. So those are some of my visions around climate change. And I'm excited in the state Senate to be able to advance them on multiple fronts.
Mhm. You're listening to the Video Voters Guide from the League of Women Voters of Portland, or you might be listening on podcast. And I'm here with Pham, who is the member of the Oregon House of Representatives representing District 46, which is outer southeast Portland. One last question. Do you support the elimination or modification of the Oregon kicker, and then why or why not?
Yes, I would support the elimination or modification of the Oregon kicker. I was really proud to be a chief sponsor. I introduced the Oregon Working Families Kicker, which it's not perfect, but I think it's the most politically feasible concept, which would have at least given an equal amount to all Oregon taxpayers. So it at least was a little bit less regressive, and instead of giving Phil Knight tens and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars back. But ultimately, I do think that we need to just eliminate the kicker altogether. But that would require a vote of the people.
Okay, thank you. This concludes our Video Voters Guide and podcast interview with Pham, representing District 46 of the Oregon Legislature. So election day is November 5th, and thank you for listening and therefore making yourself an informed voter, and please do vote on November 5th.